the future of Australian nationalism. This is a very important topic for the Australian people. We've seen a generation of Australians really sold out. What's going on? Is it because we're run by truly incompetent people, or is there like an agenda? It feels like an agenda. Every week the screws are getting tightened, and it seems like maybe they're covering their tracks. We're living under strange times. Personally, myself, I think I'm 37. I got to experience a bit of the prosperity of Australia, and right now it is never before have we seen such tricky times for people to negotiate. But what we have tonight is a debate. We've got What's News and ShallowChal, two guys who are completely, I guess, different perspectives. ShallowChal is a successful businessman, married with kids, a bit older, enthusiastic about. He knows the insides of the building industry, the failures of what has happened there. And Lawrence is a young bloke who's making his way in Australia, making his way to find success. He's done a lot of work in the social media front, and he has found success, and he's shown extreme boldness. I know him personally, and often I reach out to him for advice. Even though he's younger than me, he is a true passionate Australian. So we got two guys who do, I would say, have different opinions on what Australian nationalism look like. And I do believe this, even though I hope we get a bit of a hot topic. We want a solid debate. But I give both of them credit, because as Queenslanders, I interact with them both on the regular, and I find that I get a lot from both of them. So I think you're going to get a great debate tonight. What's news? How you going, Lawrence? Are you there?
We good? Can you hear me?
We're good, mate. I can see you.
Okay, cool.
Mate, ready to rock. How's your day been? You ready for debate of your life, or you're made for debating people?
I'm made for it. I'm ready to go.
Awesome, bro. Right, ShallowChal, fresh off a building site or what?
It's a big time of year, mate. This is always the busiest for us, and we make hay while the sun shines as we lead into Christmas.
Yep, absolutely. That's brilliant. Right, so I'll propose you guys. So I want you guys to tell me, what is the definition of Australian nationalism? We'll start with Lawrence. Can you just tell me? I would guess people would be confused right now, because we've come from where we've come from. Maybe in the past there was nationalism. That quickly dissolved and turned into multiculturalism. So we have a generation of people who've raised under multiculturalism. We've lost connection to what nationalism is, and particular what Australian nationalism. So tell us, what is Australian nationalism?
Yeah. So, I would say Australian nationalism. Well, the word nationalism means like natio, obviously. So it means from shared descent, like in regards like natal, these sorts of things. So nationalism in general just means from like one ancestry, one lineage. So Australian nationalism would be from the shared lineage that was decided upon when Australia was founded. So the founding stock of Australia are Anglo-Celtics and Anglo-Saxons. So English, Irish, and Scottish. So I would say Australian nationalism is about defending and trying to preserve British culture, which is made up of English, Irish, and Scottish culture and sensibilities. But of course, that evolved a bit into the early 19th century as we sort of like started breaking away from Britain, and we went through the world wars, and the Anzac legacy was born, and these sorts of things. So the Australian identity is a bit unique, but I think Australian nationalism always comes back to an ethnic group or a group of people. So that's where I'd pretty much end it.
Excellent. Thanks, mate. ShallowChal, as an older bloke, so you probably lived through an era where there was not what I've experienced, less of it. Lawrence, What's News would have experienced more of it. So you would have grown up with less of multiculturalism, more maybe of nationalism, and then we are experiencing different things because we're different eras going through sports and school and this. But so what is Australian nationalism, ShallowChal?
Well, yeah, you're right. My version of it is slightly different because I was born in the 70s. I was a kid in the 80s and I was a teenager in the 90s, which means that I got to see the tail end of the White Australia policy. And I got to see the implementation of multicultural policies into our country that have literally ruined it over the last 30 years. And I got to be the last generation that probably had a classroom full of kids that were all the same color as me. Not that any of us really noticed it at the time. And it wasn't until we reached a stage where everywhere you look now, you feel like a stranger in your own country that you suddenly go, hang on a second, something's not working here. So if you ask me what nationalism is, it isn't what we're building in Australia right now. And as a builder, I'm very focused on making things that work. And at the moment, it's not working. So Australian nationalism, if you ask me what time was peak in our culture and our history, I'd probably say sometime around about the 1990s, prior to the internet, when things were fantastic, when things were affordable. It was an Australia where you trusted people. It was Australia where loyalty, integrity, and honesty mattered. It was an Australia where your word counted. And the thing was, no one gave a fuck what colour people were. We actually just enjoyed being Australians. And so if you ask me what my version of nationalism is, it's going to look a lot different to Lawrence's right now, because he's focusing on the bloodline, the ancestry. And let's be clear about our ancestry here. I have nothing but absolute pride in the settler stock that built this country. But, you know, a lot of those guys hated each other. They had literal religious reasons to hate each other. They had old European ideologies hanging off them when they came here. But they managed to shed that off them and become something unique and special. So my version of Australian nationalism is what I grew up around and what I'd like it to be again, where we are in control of our country and the globalists aren't.
Yeah, excellent. So what we have now, I think what's important to understand, how would you explain what the current, this is to you, What's News, what is the current state of Australia? And how would you define the current state of Australia? Like, is there an ideological term? Is it multiculturalism? And what has that done to nationalism? Would be, so did we come from nationalism and what's been put on us? What is the current state? We'll get that.
Well, could we get all three of our faces up? I think that chat's asking for that.
Yeah,
I think it'd be better to have us all three up.
Awesome.
And it would be good to do, like, obviously a debate where we could just go back and forth a bit and just wrestle around a bit in the mud. But sorry, what was the question again?
Well, we've got our playing somehow worked out how to do that. We're back, people. Don't worry.
There,
they
that's
asked
perfect. That's perfect.
Hogan
that's
to bloody run a debate. Yeah. So the question is, what is the current state of Australia? If we sort of, we're looking at what is Australian nationalism? You defined it well, Lawrence. ShallowChal's defined it well. So what's the current state of Australia?
Well, can I rebuttal ShallowChal's position?
Absolutely, you can.
Yeah, I would say that version of quote-unquote nationalism is really just patriotism. It's not really nationalism. It's sort of a liberal version of patriotism. And I think it's only a worldview you can have when you sort of, when you were allowed to enjoy that prosperous time in our history. Like from when the boomers, from the greatest generation onwards to now, we peaked and then we are slowly declining. And a big part of that decline is this incessant multiculturalism that is forming ethnic enclaves in the cities and in Australia, which is causing all this, all this social clashing. There's no social cohesion. We've got ethnic enclaves everywhere. And, if you've got a house in the suburbs where you can hide in and, you're all set, that's fine. When you're still searching for jobs and you're trying to find a place to live, which is impossible, these ethnic conflicts come into light right in your face. Like, they're very obvious. Like, you have to deal with, okay, do I want to live in an all Indian neighborhood? Do I want to live in an all Chinese neighborhood? And unfortunately, the time of, oh yeah, we're all just Australians, it doesn't matter. Well, these ethnic groups, these ethnic enclaves don't see themselves as that. They see themselves as distinct. They don't want to integrate with me. Even if I wanted to be all friendly and did a half smile to them, they wouldn't want anything to do with me. They barely learn our language anymore. And the state is helping this. The state is encouraging multiculturalism. It's not encouraging integration anymore. So that version of nationalism, or supposed nationalism that Scott's talking about, it's dead, even from the government's perspective.
Do you feel, Scott, as though, can you see the version of the nationalism you grew up has radically changed?
Of course it is. And I'm not sure what he was actually rebutting, because I agree with him that everything's shit. So what was he actually rebutting? But anyway, we'll press on.
I can explain. I was rebutting the fact that you're saying, I grew up in a time where it didn't matter. We were all just Australians. We're all just proud to be Australians. I'm saying that time's over now. We can't go back to that version of nationalism because it's dead.
I'm telling you as well that it's shit. It's gone.
So what's
if you were a teenager in the 90s, you'd probably have the same perspective I do, Lawrence. But
sure,
you've been raised by a generation of teachers that told you were probably a toxic white male. You've grown up in a society that's literally stolen everything from you: your hopes, your future, any dream you might have of raising a family and owning a home. This government has stolen everything from you. This government, in conjunction with globalist forces, has done that. So you and I actually have the same enemy. The problem is that you think the brown people are your enemy. I'm telling you that the brown people
we do agree on a lot, right? We do agree on a lot, and that's why
brown people didn't create this problem.
I know. I've never once in my life said it's the brown people's fault. Okay, I've never said that. And we do agree on a lot. That's why I've supported your work for so long, and I do like the things you say. And I support a lot of your points.
But you're happy to call me a civic nationalist.
You are a civic nationalist. Okay, let's get to the heart of the problem. Let's get to the heart of the problem. What's the difference between, define civic nationalism for me? Define nationalism for me. Define the word.
I have a question.
Dusty, we need to get into
So this question is related to what we're saying. Hayes Media Group, question for the panel, and is the defining question of this debate, what is an Australian? So that sort of does get to that question of civic nationalism and what is an Australian nationalist?
Yeah.
What is an Australian?
Yeah,
I would say this: the people defining it on the news and the government, they don't even know. They don't even know what a woman is. So they will never be able to define this. This is up to us to define and make it clear.
Sure. Well, let's actually get into the debate. So, how would you define nationalism, Scott? The word.
Lawrence, how would you define it?
Oh, come on. I asked you a question first. Come on. You got to answer.
Hang on a second. We were already asked a question before. So we're going to answer the question we were asked before, or we're going to do this? Because
I don't want. The point of the debate is for questions to go back and forth so I can understand your point of view.
I'm trying to understand. Are we putting a question up to answer here, or are we going to answer each other's questions?
Yeah, let's answer each other's questions. That's a debate.
That wasn't the agreed format on the run
sheet. If we answer this question, I think
that's what a debate is.
We're going to
I'll answer any questions you've got for me. I'll answer.
You agreed to the run sheet this morning.
No, I didn't. No. Dusty chucked that my way, and I said to him, "Yeah, that's good guidelines, but it's a debate. It's not a question."
You want to change the rules while we're sitting here? Is that what you're saying?
No, it sounds like me like you don't know what a debate is.
I think this question posed by Hayes.
No, hold on. This is a big deal. This is a big deal because I said to Dusty this morning, I don't want this to be a Q&A. I don't want this to be some formulated, planned out, over the top thing. I want this to be a raw debate where we can get into each other's points, and part of that is answering each other's questions.
Yeah, well, we're going to answer
where the debate
questions, but I do think let's say this, if we answer this question, a lot of what we're debating here gets...
no, that's not debating.
What
if
is
you
an
want to answer my questions, that's my point.
That's not debate.
If we can't actually answer each other's questions...
You can ask more questions once we answer this.
Well, okay.
How do you define an Australian, Lawrence?
No, well, I don't want to be the one answering questions.
What is an Australian?
I want to be the one answering questions first.
Both of you, I want both of you to answer this question.
Well, I answered first last time, so Scott can answer first this time.
Scott, what is an Australian?
A person who pledges undying loyalty to our country would literally walk over glass for us, would serve here with honor and pride, would pick up another man that's sitting in the gutter right now, helps his mates out, and believes that Australia has a great future here. Less than 40 million people have been born in Australia since 1788. You're privileged to be here, Lawrence. You're one of the very few fucking lucky out of a billion odd people that could be here right now. An Australian believes in the future. An Australian is a patriot. An Australian doesn't quit. We get up and we keep going.
Okay, so in reply to that, so if 50...
No, hang on, you answer the question. You answer the question.
I think an Australian is someone of Anglo-Celtic or Saxon descent.
Yeah.
I think it's either a person of English, Scottish, or Irish descent, first and foremost.
And so where do the Italian and Greek migrants fit into that from the 50s, mate?
I don't think they're Australians. I think the government perverted our identity because it's all just postmodernism, really. You know, think about this. If the idea of, transsexuality appeared in the postmodern era, post-World War II, where the government... Hold on, let me reply to you. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me.
You segued into transsexual.
I'm making my point. Don't interrupt me. No, I listen to you.
Let's talk about
Let me finish my point.
The 1950s migration.
I listen to you. Let me finish my point. The point is, right? Let me answer your point. Yeah, if the idea of transsexuality appeared because it's a postmodern idea, which is something that perverts identities to fit into a Marxist lens, right? That's what it is. That's exactly what's happened to the Australian identity. That's exactly what's happening to the entire Anglosphere's identity.
Yeah. There's Marxist a connecting.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish my points. Okay, they're trying to pervert our identities to accept this liberal, multicultural narrative where everyone can be an Australian if they just get a citizenship, if they act a certain way. That's not what an Australian was, okay? The government had to do a whole propaganda campaign with the beautiful bolts to convince Australians to even accept non-Brits. They did this big video where they got the blondest looking, whitest looking Europeans they could find, and then convinced the Australian public, hey, look, if these guys come, they'll integrate well because they look like Australians. And then from there on, they slowly diluted our identity more and more. Every single prime minister up until Menzies' second term was an explicit advocate of the white Australia policy. Explicit. It was only post-World War II when the UN appeared, when the UN started pushing these free speech laws, these anti-vilification laws. That's when the narrative shifted to fit their agenda.
So can I ask another question? Where do we think the agenda, the globalist agenda, right? So is there a globalist agenda put onto Australia? Do you believe, ShallowChal, that there is a globalist agenda?
Well, hold on. I rebuttal for Scott's point because he said all these values, and I want to ask him. Okay,
hang on, no, whoa! I didn't say values, mate. I said you asked me you defined it as values, and this is the problem that you have constantly trying to pigeonhole me into your version of what you think I am. No, I just listened
to what you said.
You're a civic nationalist, and then you start rolling on about values, dude. No one said anything about values. Okay, you asked me to explain what an Australian is, and I explained what my version of an Australian is.
Yeah, and you said someone who always gets up, always has a go, someone who doesn't stop. These are values.
Integrity, mate.
Yeah, that's values. These are values. Okay, so these
actually I'd define them as core disciplines as an Australia First patriot, actually.
Okay, sure. Core disciplines, and we use that term. If 50 million Indians come to Australia and practice all those core disciplines, would it still be Australia?
No, it wouldn't be. And you know that. And you know I know that. And you know we agree on that. So why are you even trying that?
Because what does that say then? It says that, it's not, those aren't the things that define an Australian. So if that doesn't... Listen, because all those 50 million people are doing everything. I stood
in front of 15,000 people and said, shut the gates, mate. We don't want any more people.
That's not the point. I'm talking
about... Hang on a second. Let me have a go now. You could take every person in Australia and drop them in India and they wouldn't even notice. You could bring 20 million Indians here and you'd fuck our country. Mate, we all agree on the same thing. The problem here is that you believe in the master race white supremacy gig, mate. And it doesn't work. And it isn't going to fly in this country. Yeah, you do. You keep saying it. You keep saying it.
I don't. I know. When did I say that? Again, now you're assuming, now you're straw-manning me, okay? Don't straw-man me.
That's what I'm doing. Because you just said that everyone has to be white.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't. I'm asking about definitions. Okay, so let's talk. I'll reword my question then. Okay, not is it still Australia? Are all those 50 million Indians who practice your set of disciplines, are they Australians? If they get citizenship and they practice those disciplines and they live in Australia, hypothetically, if the economy was healthy enough to cater to them, will they all be Australian?
No.
But why not? They've got the citizenship, they practice the disciplines. There's no problems economically, so Australia looks all healthy and prosperous. Why aren't they Australian?
Because they aren't Australians. You know they're not Australians.
But nothing why not? By your definition, they would be, because you just gave me your prescription for what an Australian is.
No, you're trying to say that by bringing everyone in here and they prescribe to, your set of values that you think they should ascribe to, that they could be considered Australians. I'm telling you, they're not Australians.
No, I just used your definition of an Australian. I said about your prescriptions that you just laid out.
Well, I've been around for a while, Lawrence, and I've noticed that there's certain traits that make really decent people. And if you asked everyone watching this tonight, they would all have a different definition of what an Australian is, except for the guys that are probably on your side who believe in the purity spiral part.
That's not. I don't believe in white supremacy.
You and I both agree that we don't want to drop 20 million Indians in here, mate, and that they will never be Australians. You and I both agree.
Why will they never be Australians if they get citizenship and they practice your prescribed values? Again, we're not talking about mine.
We didn't set the rules. We didn't set the rules for how they get in here. We didn't set the rules. And if you asked me to set the rules for how you get into Australia, it wouldn't look like it does now. So if you said that you're going to bring all these people in here and they're going to be vetted by the rules this government sets, then you're going to end up with people who will not be Australians. You're going to end up with people who vote Labor and live in 15-minute cities, mate.
Okay, so being Australian depends on the rules in which you're allowed into the country.
It depends on the definitions of how you create those rules and what processes they have to go to meet that standard.
That's not a definition. That explains nothing about what makes an Australian, what doesn't make an Australian.
Because if I was the one defining who can come into this country, it wouldn't look like it does now.
So can I sort of interrupt you guys? I've let you go for a little bit there. I think what might be important would be if tomorrow you became the king, you guys magically become the king of Australia, what would be, I'll give you 2 minutes each to explain what would your solution or immigration policy look like? What would you do if you could do whatever you could do tomorrow as an Australian nationalist? Because we're all here saying we're Australian nationalists. So let's start with ShallowChal.
Well, I can go first if you like.
Do you want to go first? But do you think ShallowChal will sort of copy your...
if we're doing one for one, we can go back.
No, let me go first.
Okay, yeah. Sure. Because I just feel like if ShallowChal matches what you say, I think it's better for him to go first on this topic.
Well, I'm happy to we can take turns if you like. Yeah. I don't mind.
All right.
But as long as I'm not answering first.
If you're the king of Australia tomorrow, what would your immigration policy, how would you fix the country immigration wise?
Well, the first thing you do is shut the gates immediately, and then you'd start to deport people over the next couple of years. Now we all agree on that. The temporary student visa, the temporary students, the temporary visa holders, all of these people sitting in the middle. There's about 400,000 people on visas that don't even fit into a different one of those categories right now. We start to weed these people out of our country. You instantly start to take the pressure off housing and infrastructure and the economy here. So straight up, we're going to start to pull people back. What I'm not going to do is to start looking at people that have been that are citizens here, that have already been made citizens here, because legally there's no framework to do that, to revoke a citizenship, unless they break the law or one of their family members breaks the law. Then I would be very keen to see them and say goodbye. But immediately shut the gates. Look at our current.
Would you incentivize, like, say you get rid of a lot of millions of immigrants, let's say, return, their visas run out, they return home. And are you saying you would, if a migrant breaks the law, he would then jeopardize his whole family could be deported? Is that sort of what you're saying?
100%. Yeah,
because I guess that's what happened to the guy. That's what happened to the South African guy just the other day. Like, they didn't like the protest against the Israeli lobby, and did they deport his wife and baby.
Yeah, they're sending his entire family home.
So they've actually done this. Like, this is sort of, it's funny how our
Yeah,
government...
but it's political persecution. They're not doing it for a valid reason. They're doing it because they don't like what they're saying. You should deport the Afghani who abused that. No, deport the Afghani who abused the 15-year-old fucking kid on the bus or whatever.
Under the current system, the government could say, "Oh, ShallowChal, what a horrible thing to say." They could go after you for saying that, even though they have just done that.
I'm not a freshly minted citizen, mate. I was born here in 72 and got the birth
certificate. They could get upset at you for saying what they've just done to a bloke. Like, and they would manipulate that. That's the system we're living under.
Well, Scott, do you support what happened?
Absolutely not. But I'm also aware of this, Lawrence, and let's be clear about it. He was standing there without a mask on, and he's not a citizen of this country. He knew that was going to happen. You know he knew that was... Dude, come on. You knew that was going to happen. He knew that was going to happen. Everyone in that crowd that was standing out front of Parliament House without a mask on, that got doxxed, they knew that was going to happen. I
think it's a bit ridiculous to say that a man with a wife and kids expected himself to get deported over standing.
Dude, why would you do it? Why would you do it? He's not even a citizen.
Because he's taking a risk. He's taking an unknown risk. He's taking an unknown risk. It's pretty unprecedented for Tony Burke.
But he's not a citizen. Do we even care?
Yeah, but it's pretty unprecedented for Tony Burke himself to target a man out of a crowd attending a lawfully authorized protest.
What do you expect from Tony Burke? You knew this was going to happen.
Look, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying it's still it's unprecedented.
So, as the King of Australia, would you ban foreign lobbying groups, ShallowChal, if you were the King of Australia tomorrow?
100%. Like zero foreign lobbying. There's no ifs, no buts. It doesn't matter whether it's the Chinese, the Qataris, the Americans, the English people, the Jewish lobby. Let's say it. I mean, all of them need to go. The foreign influence in Australia is one of the most heinous and horrific things that's ever happened to this country, and it's why you're surrounded by free trade agreements right now that do guys like Lawrence no favors and owning a home and having a family.
Even today, I don't know if it was ASIO or was on the news, and they were like 1 in 10 people applying to work on the submarines getting built is being rejected because of foreign ties to foreign governments. There's dual citizens signing up, and they're worried. They did mention Indian and Chinese, but it's insane that in one day they'll come out with this about the submarine story and saying there's legit foreign interference, happening at this scale this is our dual military plan moving forward. It's under threat. And then next minute, some guy gets deported for being against foreign lobbying groups. So it really is insane.
Yeah, can I ask the king for a day question?
Yeah, how would you be if you're a king? I reckon it's not for a day, but if you were the king and you could decide a holistic approach on immigration, what would you do to fix the country?
Yeah, I agree basically with everything Scott said. My official stance always has been, I don't know if Scott's assuming that I've said get rid of every single non-white person. I've never said that. I don't advocate for that because I agree with Scott that revoking citizenships is a pretty intense thing, and that's a very it's got big consequences. There are families that have been here for decades and decades and decades who don't speak their native tongue anymore, who don't practice their native culture. They practice a materialistic, nihilistic, modern, nothing culture, materialistic culture. So yeah, that would be a very intense thing. I think you got to deport the criminals first. Let the students. I honestly advocate send the students home. Let them complete their degrees overseas. I don't see there's any reason for them to be taking up spots in Australian universities on our soil. And then all the temps here, all the working visas, get rid of them, send them back home. And then from there on, the next part though is having this national conversation about what is the definition of an Australian. And that's why I harp on it so much, because there's been this entire multicultural narrative that's been painted, and unless we really attack the heart of that, where we can't really give an ought statement for how the country should look. And so a question I want to ask Scott is, what are the ideal demographics for this country in your eyes? What would it look like ideally?
Yeah, whatever I think it should look like, probably will never look like potentially anyway. I mean,
but just we all
have in-group and out-group biases, right? We want to be surrounded by people that look like us. That's a natural bias that's within us. And so if I was broken down on the side of the road and there was two groups of men standing off the side of the road, one was African guys and one was Australian guys, which group am I most likely to go and ask for help? I'm probably going to ask the white guys, right? Because that's who I know I can communicate with and talk to. It's probably people that will empathize with my situation and will probably potentially know someone that I know that can help me out.
But
that's a real possibility.
What if those black guys that were born and raised in Australia? Why is it any different to talk to them than it is to talk to the white Australians?
I can't kick them out if they were born here. If they're citizens, mate, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, that was my point. You said that you could talk to the white guys easier. Why is that the case if there's an African born in Australia?
Because you know as well as I do that culturally we grew up around people that communicate like this. We'll call a spade, and we're generally pretty honest with each other. I generally find that I have a higher level of trust for people that generally look like me. But that's not to say, as well, let's be clear about this as well. Almost every person who's fucked me over in my life, Lawrence, has been my color and your color. They haven't been brown. So what does the ideal population look like? Well, in my mind, I'd rather look at that population and go, what's the content of your heart and what sort of person are you? Because I can't change the color of the people that are citizens here. I have to work with what we've got.
Yeah, okay.
What would it look like to you? No, let's answer the way.
Well, you haven't answered the question. So what's you can't give an ideal demographic makeup of Australia?
Yeah, but it's a loaded question, and you can't answer it. You know that.
You can answer it. You just give me the demographics.
I just told you what my natural biases were. I'd rather be in a country with people that look like me. I just said that.
No, but do you understand how ridiculous you're trying to lead?
No, but I just answered the question, Lawrence. What did I answer?
I'm rebuttaling you. I'll answer the question. I will answer the question happily. But my point is, you're trying to lead.
You didn't answer the question. I just said I'd rather be in a country of people that look like me.
You didn't answer the question because you didn't give me your demographic makeup for Australia. You just said I like.
What's my demographic?
Oh, Anglo-Celtic, Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah, well, apparently I've got some Eastern European in there, according to the DNA test. Does that make me an Australian?
I would say, well, it depends on how much of Anglo-Celtic, Anglo-Saxon.
What percentage qualifies, mate?
Oh, I usually say half. Even half, you'd say, yeah, that's fine.
So
well, depending on the mix, I think if you're half.
The demographic would look like a bunch of me, mate. A bunch of me.
So you're 100% Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic with a bit of something.
Because that's what I feel comfortable being around, because that's my in-group bias, mate. That's what I want.
Sure. I'm not having a go at you if you're giving that answer. I just want to know what you want the country to look like.
I answered it 3 times for you, and you kept going asking the same question.
No, you were dodging the question. Okay, so you would ideally like it to be a majority white country, but then you refuse to talk about ethnicity when on stage or when advocating or promoting the marches. And then you've got speakers coming on stage who are pandering to these migrant communities whilst refusing to even acknowledge the Anglo population here or acknowledge the percentage of which our demographics are decreasing, right? Our replacement in this country. So I don't understand. You want the same thing as me, ideally, right? Because of course we want to live with the same people.
You want to platform Nazis on the stage, though.
I do believe in free speech.
You know, but you want to platform Nazis on the stage, even though the coppers told everyone that no Nazis could speak in Queensland.
Well, as far as I understand, you guys were working with the cops to not let them up, but
the cops said that no Nazis are allowed to speak, and we went, yeah, great, because we don't like them either.
Sure. Well, I'm not the police, so I don't get to enforce that. But yeah, I believe in free speech.
But hang on a sec. You came up after the October 19th event, shook my hand and said, great event. Then you went home and made a video and called it cucked.
Yeah, it was cucked.
Yeah, but you didn't say that to my face.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to try and destroy your entire day just because I didn't.
Oh, hang on. Whoa, what were you scared, Lawrence?
No, not at all. If you asked me what I thought, I would have told you.
I did ask you what you thought, and you said it was a great event. Well done. Shook my hand.
Oh, mate, you were surrounded by like 10 people shaking everyone's hand. I was saying goodbye to you because I was trying to be friendly. All right.
Anyway, mate, I'll give you that one. Go and answer the question. What does your ideal country look like?
Yeah, I would say, 90+% white, Anglo-Celtic, Anglo-Saxon. And that's like, and I'm talking about Anglo-Celtic, Anglo-Saxon. Like, I wouldn't want it to be 90% Russian speaking Russian, right? Like it's not, that's not us either. It's not just the color of the skin. It is our culture. It is our ethnicity. That's what I want to see. But how we get to there is a very difficult question. And it's not hard to get there.
It's not hard to get there.
What are the mass deportations, or you heavily advocate for white people having babies?
Yeah, but white people aren't going to have babies, mate.
What, leftist? What? No
one's going to have babies. Nobody's having babies. Why do you think they're not having babies?
Well, that's a can of worms. I think it's economic. I think it's cultural. Congrats.
Dusty's breathing.
Number 3.
It's good.
Do you think that they're... So I agree. I think this is a good topic because, you know, some people on the left will say, and probably on the right, big business wise, want to keep their profits margins high. They want to, so they're seeing population decline. They sort of justify mass migration because, we're not having enough babies, and they want to perpetually have a forever expanding economy. So we have to become like, to say we're going to restrict immigration, we're going to send a whole lot of temporary visas, they're going to run out, their time will run out, there's no pathway to citizenship, and then when the visa runs out, they return home, and we're saying we're closing up the gate. And so we're going to see there would be an economic retraction. Do you know what I mean? Or would be the natural
why do people have kids?
Should be.
Why do people have kids?
Because it's a part of life. It's one of the most rewarding parts of life.
Well, you've never had one, so you wouldn't know that.
Well, I'm assuming that it's one of the most rewarding parts of life. You get to pass on. You get to teach them what you know. You get to teach your values. You get to help the country grow and become what you want it to be.
Yeah, but that's not going to make people have kids.
No, well, okay. This kids thing, right? This kids thing is so loaded, though.
No, because this is how you win, Lawrence. This is the guts of it, right? Like the whole meaning of this, the whole point of all of this is to make sure that we're the dominant people in our own country, that it doesn't get taken over by the subcontinent, that it isn't flooded by hordes of Asians, and that we, Australians, people that are born here, that are raised here, that are already here, have the best quality of life possible on this planet.
Yeah, but see, that's where you lose me, because your definition of Australian doesn't make sense, because you've just given me the CivNat definition. So when you talk about Australians, you can use this buzz.
The CivNat definition is the globalist vision, mate.
Which is what you're advocating for, basically. Because
no, it's not. Because the globalist vision is open borders, dude. You know that. So don't even start to accuse me of that shit, because that's ridiculous.
Civic nationalism isn't about open borders. Civic nationalism is how you
civic nationalism is globalism, dude.
No, it's 100%
globalism.
No, it's not. It's a different definition.
This is your definition of it.
Of what? Civic nationalism?
100%.
It's a liberal perversion of the word
liberal
nationalism.
Liberal perversion such as open borders.
No, okay, don't interrupt me. If you want my answer, don't interrupt me, okay? It's a liberal perversion of the word nationalism that came about post-World War II. It wasn't coined before post-World War II, by the way, so it came out of that era, okay? So UN, sure, globalism came about, but they want to pervert the term nationalism to get rid of ethno-nationalism, because they would conflate that term with fascism, i.e. Nazism. And because of the Holocaust, because of these things, that became the taboo thing. So you couldn't practice that openly anymore. So they turned to civic nationalism, which was you get a piece of paper, anyone is now part of that nation state. But the problem is the problem is when Scott talks about it, he goes on these kind of like, you know, uplifting speeches about Australians and Australia. Well, it's like, okay, you've lost me again, because I don't know what an Australian is.
That's because I can't get you in the first place, mate. You're completely shut down to any hope for the future. You are 100% convinced that only a purity spiral will save you at this point.
No, I'm just sick of people not giving me definitions for things that actually make sense.
But that's because you don't want to hear definitions, mate.
You're not giving me definitions. You're dancing around definitions.
But dude, I know exactly what you're thinking, mate.
Okay, what's an Australian? Give me nice and quick. I can answer
you. We don't need to. We've already answered that question.
No, you didn't. What did you even say? Okay, repeat.
The question here for you, Lawrence, is why do people have babies, and why is that a really important part on how we solve the problem here?
That's kind of an irrelevant question of why they.
No, it's not. Do you want to solve the problem, or do you want to wallow in misery forever?
I'm trying to figure out whether or not you're worth supporting as the leader of an anti. Let me finish. I'm trying to figure out whether or not you're worth supporting as an anti-immigration advocate if you can't even define your terms and your premises. That's what I'm trying to get to. I'm not trying to figure out why people. I
just told you we're going to shut the gates and deport a bunch of people, right?
Okay, now define an Australian for me.
And I've already defined an Australian. What I define as an Australian. So does that mean I'm going to open the gates and let in 1 million subcontinent Indians?
Well, my problem with that is if you're not talking about what an actual Australian is, when you start using this language of it's for Australians, we want houses.
Your version isn't my version, so you instantly dismiss my version as irrelevant.
Yeah, no. I'm not dismissing it as irrelevant. I'm just trying to get a proper definition, which you haven't given me.
Yeah, but your definition is Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic. That's it.
Yes.
That's it for you. That's all that matters. My definition is honesty, integrity, and the type of people that I know I can lean on and trust. The type of person who's got your back when the shit hits the fan. And as I said before, everybody who's fucked me over in my life, Lawrence, has been your color.
Okay, that's fine. But by definition...
Do you want to live in a country full of criminal white people, or do you want to live in a country full of people that actually have good intentions and believe in Australia?
Criminal white people, because I think they'd come back easier. Okay? But here's the thing.
Do we think that our society is so perverse right now that there is not even an incentive to not be a criminal?
Dusty. By definition, Scott, that is civic nationalism, what you just said.
That's an Aboriginal then. Where do they fit, mate?
They're not Australians. They call themselves First Nations. Scott, they call themselves First Nations people, a separate nation.
No, they don't. No, the city ones call themselves First Nations people. The ones out bush don't give a fuck about that stuff.
Yeah, and look, Aboriginals...
So what do you want to do with those guys? What do you want to do with those guys?
They should stay here. I think Aboriginals have every right to be in Australia. I think they should be taken care of.
They're not Australians as far as you're concerned.
No, they're not ethnically Australians. They could be Australian citizens, but they're not Australians. And
they're not Australians.
Sorry?
They're not Australians. And as well as the second and third generation Greek ancestry people, they're not Australians either.
No, I think it's an ethnic thing.
All right, no worries. But so you and I both have very clear ideas about what different Australians are. We've gone through that.
Yeah.
Okay. Move to the next topic now.
Sure. Okay. Well, before we move on completely, I just want to reiterate that is
running out. So there's still a lot of what you do agree upon. So we've not lost the goal here of how to fix things. Like, do you know? Okay. Agree here.
Yeah.
With the core, and it's just the difference of opinion.
Here's the point of contention. If Scott could just accept that he's a civic nationalist, then I can operate with him better. But the thing is, hold on, let me finish. The problem is he's sort of like dog whistling to the far right. He's dog whistling.
No, but dude, hang on a second.
Let me finish, Scott. I listened to you without interrupting.
You a Nazi fuck. Which one's it going to be?
I listened to you without interrupting. Let me finish you, right? Let me finish what I'm saying. If he just accepted that, then I could operate with him. But he's dog whistling to the far right with making posts like, you made a post like the 14 words post that we need to preserve.
I thought it was fascinating because I'd never heard of it before. So I made a post
good.
But see, because you guys are so obsessed with every little word that anyone says, you start pulling everything apart. Me, I just saw a video of an Englishman talking about something I'd never heard of before and thought it was great content. Yeah, well, you guys turned into, he's signaling to the Natsox. Come on, dude. Seriously, really? Is this all you've got to lean on every day? Is what people post on X? Come on.
We're talking. No. It's not just about what people post on X. It's what people who are trying to lead national campaigns are saying. Okay, you and I get criticized at a higher degree because we're public figures. We're trying to be public figures. Okay. So when you say these things, I have to figure out, okay, is this someone that I can openly advocate and back? If he's,
I don't want you to advocate for me. I don't want you to back me. I do. Well, I seriously couldn't give two fucks about you.
Well, I don't care if you don't. I don't care if you don't care if you want me to back you or not. I'm just saying.
No, I don't. Okay? And so I'm not looking for your loyalty here. I'm not looking for anything from you.
I'm not talking about my loyalty to you. I'm saying this is why we critique what we hear so much, because we're trying to figure out who's a traitor, who's not.
You're too busy ripping people apart on your own side instead of looking at the real problem here.
You're not on my side. You're to the left of me.
Everyone's to the left of you, Lawrence.
So can I interrupt?
No, not everyone. There are further right people than me.
Dude, everyone is to the left of you, mate. Let's face it. You're more Nazi than not, right?
I'm not Nazi. I don't subscribe.
You're more Nazi than not. Let's face it. You said that to me on the phone once, Scott, that you leaned closer to that.
Scott, you're literally using like leftist talking points now. You're saying that everyone on the right wing.
I don't care that you're a Nazi. I just want you to admit
I'm not a Nazi, Scott.
I'm not a civic nationalist, Lawrence.
You are by definition.
You are a Nazi by definition.
No, I'm not.
Do you understand what you're saying?
Define Nazi then. Define Nazi.
I'm looking at one.
No. This is important. Define Nazi.
So I think
Dusty, you can't interrupt. You can't interrupt when we're having a point of contention. Okay, this is important.
Yeah,
define
Nazi. I think we've had a good point of contention for a while.
No. This is how you actually get to the point of the debate. Damn it. No, this is how you get to the
I
point of
think
the
we've had a
debate. I'm
good-
not going to let this slide because you just called me a Nazi on live.
You just
So
called me a civic nationalist.
No, I just defined it.
You called me a civic nationalist, and personally, I find that as
And
a
Scott, do you
offended
seriously
by the
think? Let me
term?
finish. Let me fucking talk, okay? Do you seriously think that civic nationalism is the same as Nazism in its weight?
Absolutely, they're both as bad as each other.
That's bullshit. Okay, that's complete
No,
bullshit.
that's bullshit
You know
because you love Nazis, mate.
You sound like a child, mate. Can you define
Nah,
Nazi?
man, come on, dude. I'm not the child. You're the child. You know that.
Can you define Nazi then?
No, I don't have to define anything, Lawrence. I've already done it.
When did you define Nazi in this debate?
No, we all know what Nazis are, mate. And Joel's sitting in jail.
Define it then.
You define it. You tell me what a Nazi is.
No, hang on a second. You're dummy spitting.
You tell me how you're different from a Nazi.
You're dummy spitting. You just accused me.
I've already rebutted your claim that I'm a civic nationalist. You rebut the claim that you're a Nazi. I
need to know what you define a Nazi as so I can rebut it.
You tell me how you're different.
What a joke. What a joke. You can't even define terms that you're using. You're not okay. I'm not a Nazi because National Socialism is a German ideology founded in German folklore. It subscribes to this social Darwinian stuff. I'm a Christian. I don't believe in social Darwinism, for one.
But how can you be a Christian and a racial purist, mate?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I think there are some conflicts. I think that there's nothing immoral about wanting the best for your own people and wanting to preserve your ethnicity and nation state. If it's hurting your own people, I don't wish anything bad upon non-white people, non-Anglos. Okay, I have a Christian.
That doesn't really make you a Christian, though, does it? Because Christianity is about faith. Would you let in a million Nigerians of Christian faith?
No, because I want Australia to be what Australia is. I want Australia to be for Australians.
That's not what the teaching of the Bible says, mate.
Well, the Bible says you have to open your borders to the entirety of Africa.
No, it says that you believe in Christ with your heart, and that everyone can believe in Christ. That's the power of Christ. That anyone
so borders
anyone
shouldn't exist if you're a Christian. You don't think?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you can't be an ethno-nationalist and a Christian at the same time, dude.
Well, I disagree with that.
But
that's a
Christians
theological
could
debate.
Invade other borders to share the gospel. I would say that's acceptable.
Well, yeah. Well, this is a theological debate, okay? And I would say that.
Let's do that.
So, it's a theological debate, and that's a big question.
A good run now.
But no, the point is, I'm not a Nazi.
Now,
I just defined what a Nazi was. So can Scott now define what a Nazi is?
I think we're going to go round in circles. So,
well, I just defined it. So if Scott could define it now.
Well, a Nazi was defeated by Australian troops and a bunch of allies in the Second World War and ruined their country, mate. So I don't really subscribe to the understanding of why we need to bring a dead ideology into Australia that already wrecked plenty of countries in Europe. So it seems ridiculous to me.
Okay, with that, so you think Hitler destroyed Germany?
Absolutely, he played a part in it.
What do you mean? He brought it out of debt after the Treaty of Versailles. And
Did you see how Germany ended the war?
Yeah, which you got dragged into by the West.
Whoa! So you're holding Hitler on a pedestal here?
No, I don't think he's an angel. I don't think he's a perfect man. Look, I can give you a good example of why I don't subscribe to Nazi ideology. There's a book called Christ in Dachau that talks about the Catholics that were imprisoned in the Dachau concentration camp. There are almost 2,000 Catholic priests who got put in the concentration camp before Auschwitz. And then that narrative got taken up by Elie Wiesel in Night to turn it into the Jewish Holocaust narrative. So I'm suspicious about the entire history of World War II. I don't have any solid opinions. It's a very complex history. But I do agree.
Did Australian soldiers fight Nazis?
Hold on, but I do agree with some of the economic things that Hitler did. For example, he nationalized his currency. Gaddafi did the same thing. I think Lincoln wanted to do the same thing with the greenbacks. That's what freed them from the debt, the Jewish banking debt. Okay, so
how did that work out for Gaddafi?
Well, yeah, he got assassinated by the West as well, because if you try and break away from
you noticing a trend here, Lawrence?
No, the trend is if you try and break away from the federal banking reserve system, you get killed because debt rules the world and debt controls all the countries.
And so how do you propose Australia gets out of that?
I think we still need to nationalize our currency. You can't fix anything unless you break free of that debt slavery.
So it sounds like something that Jared Rennick would be a fan of.
I love Jared Rennick. I love all of his economic
policies.
I love all of his economic policies. The only thing I have is he's, like you, a civic nationalist. So,
do we think this?
But here's the thing. Hold on.
There's one question I want to ask. This is what the question I want to ask. So, because I'm interested. Look, I was more of a civic nationalist because I'm 37, so I think we grew up similar to like ShallowChal. I don't think when I went to school and finished school, started working, we weren't flooded with immigrants. So it was people were assimilating, and it was quite thought like, oh yeah, sweet, you're going to church with different people and blah blah blah. You could buy a house, have kids, get married, and it felt like it was all good. It was all good. But then I realized that since COVID, it was like, no way, this has broken our system. Housing prices unaffordable, wages stagnating. Obviously, we're seeing Sikhs and Hindus fighting on the streets, Muslims and Jews fighting on the street, Hong Kong students and mainland Chinese fighting on the streets. It's very real. African machete gangs. This is all multiculturalism, mass migration. Young mates can't afford to buy a home, working a lot, all the financial stress. Your culture becomes under attack because how do you have a culture when you're working 60 hours a week and you and your missus are, barely, you can't even celebrate birthdays? Like, I've seen all this stress played out on people, and you go, this hasn't worked. I was wrong. I was actually very wrong. I was arrogant, and I was a bit too optimistic. But see, what I think is maybe there's a generation of people who, as you get older, you become more and more isolated, right? And I think an older generation who are slightly older than me are just a little bit more disconnected from that younger generation. So they're not experiencing, I'm connected enough that I can see it and feel it. And I have, compassion for my mates. And I think this isn't working. But I think what's important here is ShallowChal. Maybe I would say you're on the same journey as me and on the same trajectory as what I was on, right? But Lawrence is experiencing a completely different Australia than what we have. It's more intense than even what I have. I'm surrounding myself with people, and I connected with a younger generation. I think ShallowChal is too. But what I'm getting at is, I think what's really important for March for Australia, Australia marches, what our Australian nationalism, we need to be able to communicate and where Lawrence is and connect where ShallowChal is and maybe where I am too. There might be layers of Australian nationalism, and we need to be able to actually understand like what the fuck is going on. What the fuck's going on? The government's disconnected because it's like a insulated bubble. I was in church, heavily involved, volunteering a lot. Say in 8 years, like 4,500 hours volunteered. So, but I was in a bubble, see? It wasn't until the gay marriage vote that I said, oh, hang on a minute, this is going to destroy the country. So I got politically active and I got out of my bubble. And really, it took from that time, which I think was 2015, maybe 2017, the gay marriage vote. It took that long till after COVID that I shook off maybe more of a civic nationalist idea. So it was quite a long journey for me to get to that point. I was maybe blindly optimistic.
Well, it's getting perpetually worse, and the government's getting harder and harder on trying to.
Do you think, Lawrence, we're going to lose the older people whose experience is different than yours and mine? Because I think like
I think they're set in their ways. I think that they're too burdened by the guilt complex of trying to try and put their own people first. They get riddled with guilt from that, from all the programming, all the media they've consumed. They're never going to do it, and they don't have enough to lose from what's happening right now. They've got their bubble, they've got their retirement plans set up, they've got comfy jobs, they've got comfy little like vacation places they can go. The younger generation is they're trying to just blend in like they're in Soviet Russia.
Do you think ShallowChal, I guess this is to ShallowChal, but also to you, you might be the most politically active older Australian or bloke in his 50s that we have. There's not many. If anything, the blinkers are on and we can't interact. You might be the only guy. Do you think that's a true assessment, Lawrence? Like, do you think there's anyone else like in that age bracket 50 above that we can even communicate?
No, not at all.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen any. I mean, there's people I like and there's people I respect, but
yeah. And look, I would even say,
do you find that you can't communicate to them, ShallowChal? Like, have you had an awakening? Do you think you've had an awakening on this journey?
Well,
and are you also surrounded by people your age who are completely blind? Do you know what I mean? Do you feel like
into this journey? I'd never heard of a CivNat, a WIGNat, a ZioCuck. I'd never heard of any of this shit ever before in my whole life.
Until how long ago?
Until about mid-August when I got involved in the march.
Well, it's important.
So the whole Twitter scape of that shit was completely foreign to me. So I've had to learn a new language because as far as I was concerned, in my life, you've got two types of people. You've got, close your ears, the kids at home, good cunts and bad cunts. That's it. I never judged a person by the color of their skin. But then I found out that this whole thing is a race debate and that they want to deport like people that are citizens.
Well, yeah, well, that's just having a shallow political worldview. Well, I want to ask you, let's get back to the debate. I want it to just be a discussion.
Well, can I ask one more question while we're sort of here?
Yeah, but let's just go
quick.
Do
you feel, because I maybe just, worked out who ShallowChal was maybe around the election earlier in the year. And you seem quite, obviously being a builder and around the housing issue, obviously this is where your expertise and your passion, did that drive you to then see is ending mass migration and remigrating people? Is that the only solution for young people to get into housing?
Well, it's a really big one, but I started making content 2 years ago about how bad the building industry is. That's always been the backbone of my content because guys like Lawrence deserve to have a house. Like, there's no doubt about that. He absolutely deserves to be able to buy a house on potentially 3, maybe 4 times income if he really wants a good one. There should be no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. But the way this system has been built, it's designed for him not to have that. It's designed to perpetuate a Ponzi scheme that feeds the profits of the big banks and allows a really incompetent government, successive incompetent governments, to paper over intrinsic structural issues within our economy. And they're using human slaves. They're using human slaves to wreck this country. That's what
I agree.
So the new immigrants are like tax slaves.
Hold on. It's just turning into an economic discussion. We all agree on this stuff. It's pretty obvious.
This is about economics, Lawrence.
No, it's not. It's not just about economics. I want to ask you one thing. I got plenty of questions here.
Our life is connected.
You want to own a house or not?
I got plenty of questions here that I need to ask.
I've got 100 questions here for Lawrence, but we're not going to get to them tonight.
Well, I got a couple of important ones, and that are relevant.
I allowed an hour for this.
Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to waste your time. I'm trying to get to the point quickly. Okay, you just talked about the Nazis and that the Anzacs fought the Nazis. Do you think that the Anzacs fought the Nazis over ideological reasons or not? To clarify my questions, do you think that the Anzacs were fighting the Nazis because they wanted to prevent them from having an ethno-state in Germany?
Dude, why are we going back around this shit for?
Because it's important. I'll explain why it's important. Here's another question. I'll ask a different question.
It's not important. It's ridiculous.
I'll ask a different question. I'll ask a different question.
No, hang on, Lawrence. We've already talked about race. We've gone backwards and forwards on race. March for Australia isn't about race.
This is the last question I have in regards to race, okay? So do you think
boring, mate. Talking about identity is boring.
No, it's not. No, it's not at all. That's insulting.
Boring, Lawrence. What is it about?
No, it's history. It's history.
Talk about this bullshit identity stuff constantly.
Okay, last question then, okay? Do you think the Anzacs fought for a white Australia?
No.
That's a lie then.
Did you ever meet a World War II veteran, Lawrence?
Every single prime minister.
Have you ever met? No, Lawrence. My question: have you ever met a World War II veteran?
Yes, of course.
Did you ask them if they fought for white Australia?
No, I've never gotten the chance yet.
Yep. And so I was a kid in the 80s, right? So I got to meet fuckloads of World War II veterans. My Anzac Day, I was obsessed with the guys. I'd be down at the RSL talking to them constantly.
Did you think the RSL supported white Australia?
Did any of them ever mention to me once that white Australia was why they joined the army?
Scott, true or false? Did the RSL support white Australia?
It's inconsequential.
No. True or false? Is that a fact or not?
I don't know. I've never
It's
heard
a
about
fact.
that.
I can tell you. I've got the sources all
Yeah,
here.
but dude, it doesn't matter, Lawrence.
No, it does matter because both. No, but it does matter because
dude,
both of our two wartime prime ministers
rewrite history. You want to make out like all of our diggers went overseas and fought for white Australia, and that's bullshit.
No.
You know
No. There were
Mate,
40.
I met so many of
there were
them.
about 40,000 diggers
for white Australia.
There are only
None
about
of them went for
40,000
white
diggers who went to the Mediterranean theatre to fight the Nazis, as far as I understand. Okay, so I'm not saying every single Anzac soldier that fought overseas was fighting the Nazis. My point is that Australians were fighting for white Australia. Okay, the only reason they got involved with the Nazis was because they were trying to defend Britain and British rule. And when Japan bombed Darwin and started attacking us, they were drawn out of that because they were more worried about the Asian invasion than they were about the Nazis. And Billy Hughes explicitly said we're fighting for white Australia. John Curtin explicitly they explicitly said this. They said, "I bid thee go fight for a white Australia," verbatim.
Mate, go back through World War II archives and interviews with World War II veterans on YouTube. I'm
talking about our prime ministers. Do you concede?
Have you been in the military, Lawrence?
No, this is
No, come on. Answer the question. Have you ever given an oath to your country or done anything like that?
This is an ad hominem. This isn't a real argument.
Oh, we're going to do the ad hominem thing now.
That's an ad hominem. Dude. That's not a real argument.
Seriously?
Do you know how to debate, Scott, or not?
Okay. Lawrence, why are you asking dumb questions for?
That's not dumb. If you think that's a dumb question, you're a dumb debater.
I actually gave you more credit than this, man.
If you think that's a dumb question, you're a dumb debater, okay? Billy Hughes explicitly said that.
You're an obsessed racial purity person, mate.
I'm not. I'm telling you the basic history of our country.
And dude, I know the history of our country.
No, you don't, because you just...
No, Lawrence, you don't.
You just said it.
You never even met a World War II veteran.
Oh, that's verbatim. That's an ad hominem. That's an ad hominem, Scott.
See,
every time
you spit a fact at Lawrence, he fucking loses his shit.
I'm just telling you the truth, mate.
Your revisionist history isn't going to cut it with people who are rational and understanding.
Here is a quote. The RSL state president, Mr. R.D. Hush, said, "This land must be kept for white people, and to do so we must be prepared to defend and restrict immigration policy. Asian nations are imbued with an ambition to populate Australia, no matter what we call it, unless we have a restricted immigration policy." Let me finish. Don't interrupt me. Unless we have a restricted immigration policy, we could eliminate our own race. Coloured people would inundate the white population here. A motion that the conference reaffirm its belief in the white Australia policy was amended to reaffirm its belief in a restricted immigration policy. That's from the RSL directly.
Can I ask you a question, Lawrence, about this?
I guess I don't. I've never read that. 40 years ago.
I hate who?
When they wrote this, what I find interesting is, so they've written this. This is before World War II, right? And they must have seen the threat coming down of this impending.
What was the threat, Dusty?
No, Dusty.
They were just scared of brown people?
Dusty, this is what I'm trying to get at.
And you might so scary, or was the fact that they were willing to work for 2/10 of fuck all scary?
Dusty, this was from
19. Lawrence, answer the question.
This is around the Immigration Restriction Act.
Answer the question.
The gold rush.
Was he concerned about the economics of our country and brown people working for really low wages, or was he concerned about the purity spiral?
It's about identity too. All of our prime ministers explicitly said that.
You know as well as I do, it was about economics.
No, it's not. That's a blatant lie.
Policy was
that
about
is a lie.
Making sure that brown people didn't undercut Australian wages.
That's a lie. That's a lie. You didn't even know the history of the RSL, and you're telling me what the policies were about.
You don't know the history of your country. You want to?
I do. I know far more than you, Scott.
Cherry pick these little bits out, man.
No. I know far more than you, obviously, because you can't bring any sources to the table. Okay, this quote, by the way, this quote is from 1952, long after the war. We're not going to
sit here and quote White Australia policy quotes from the 50s, mate.
Yeah, because you don't know anything about it, so you're out of your league.
So I haven't even done the
research history.
I didn't bring my white people a better Bible, mate. Sorry.
No. I can give you a couple of books, mate. It's called reading a book.
Mate, I've got plenty of books here.
It's almost
you should read my books the veterans wrote.
Yeah, we'll get some non-fiction books about white Australia and you'll learn something.
Find one book there that's about the war where they spoke about white Australia.
Do you have one?
Do you think that the white Australia policy was...
You should get one, mate. I'll give you a couple, eh?
Why are you so obsessed with white Australia?
Because it's our true history. It was like the main underlying policy.
For 113 years, we weren't white Australia. Prior to 1901, were we white Australia prior to 1901?
Basically, yeah, we had some Chinese, which we ended up deporting.
Hang on a second. We had no white Australia policy, though, did we?
But we from 1788 to 1901.
I've just spat a fact at you. Rebut my fact.
Well, yeah, but the white Australia policy is a reflection of the sentiments that are already in the nation, which was
so what year did they implement that?
Did you understand what I just said to you?
I understand. And what year did they implement it?
They formally made the policy in 1901.
And so for 113 years prior to that, we didn't have a white Australia policy.
So you're saying it wasn't an ethno state for 113 years?
It wasn't.
Bullshit.
And I'm not. But you see, here's the thing, right? You and I are going to argue history backwards and forwards here.
Australia was point. Built, that's kind of important.
Australia was built as a Christian nation, not
history
as
is kind of important.
History is important, but you don't want to have a future here, mate. You want to keep looking backwards and then try to wallow in your own misery. What's the solution, Lawrence?
Well, first we need to understand history so we can actually figure out where to go. And you don't even know anything about our history, obviously.
Gaddafi got killed. I mean,
I'm not talking about the Gaddafi. I'm talking about the White Australia policy, which is the foundational policy of Australia.
So what does Australia look like in 20 years, Lawrence?
Depends. Well, that's a vague question.
No, hang on. Whoa. Answer the question, mate. You're asking me vague questions.
I think what's it look like in 20 years from where we are today? If the current trends keep going, I think we're gonna look like Brazil. I think it's gonna be like Brazil. We're gonna be this like second world nation with slums everywhere, people working these crazy hours for fuck all, bunch of balkanization, ethnic slop communities. I think that we're going towards this whole smart city thing. To be honest, I believe in this. I believe they're bringing.
They have to lock it down with the smart city control.
I think they're gonna. Yeah, I think they're trying to create ethnic gumbo slop in the cities, and they're going to use hyper advanced technology to basically try and lock us down with smart cities and monitor everything. And I believe in all the carbon credit score stuff. Like they're going to try and monitor everything and just force us through authoritarianism to just shut our mouth, which is what they're trying to do now to a lesser degree. But once the demographics go to AWOL, like India can't fix itself, right? For a reason. I'm not going to, it's a long answer to why that can't happen. But if Australia looks like that, if we've got fucking 10 million Indians and 10 million Asians, there's no way in hell we're going to fix our problems if we become minorities. We're the only people thinking about these things. These other people can abandon this country whenever they want and go back to their home countries. They're just here for economic purposes.
They think it's
where am I going to go?
Like, I've got a guy at work who's, it's quite a funny thing because he's from Poland, right? So he's a white guy, lovely dude, works hard, but he says, oh, it's amazing here. And he pays $450 a week to rent a room. And it's pretty close to the city's apartment. But I'm like, dude, say before COVID, you could rent a whole house for that, mate. Like, that's crazy. Why are you telling me that's good? I'm like, don't tell anyone that, bro. People are going to say you're a fucking idiot. And I'm like, you are an idiot. And I said to him, I would deport you. I said, I'd deport you too, bro. Like, and that's sort of like, that goes beyond race. Like, that goes into just the fact that they come from a nation with the lowest standard of living. And then they come here now in such large numbers from all around the world and are literally saying, this is good. This is so good. This is so much better than home. And young Aussies, like, I'm going, bro, this is fucking shit. Like, even the Maoris and the Kiwis are like, they'll be like, dude, we used to come to Australia for a better life because New Zealand was high inflation.
They're coming from third world.
And now the Kiwis are going, the Maoris are going, they've fucked Australia. And the new immigrants are saying to me and the Maori dude, like, it's so good here. We're both looking at each other going, we've just spent half the day whinging about the cost of living. And I lived in New Zealand for 4 years, so I know what it was like over there. Yeah. And you know what I mean? So this is the situation. You've got to marry a black fella and a white fella saying, Polish dude, we might have to get rid of you because you're lowering the standard of living in real time. And we're saying this is unacceptable. And then you're standing there next to a young 22-year-old employed Aussie, and you're going, we can't sell him the Australian dream anymore. There's not in 12 months.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
And you're buying a home and you're getting married.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you say. I agree. Yeah, they'll come for anything because they live from
Do
third
you
worlds.
think this? Here's another question: if
Well,
we don't stop mass
Scott said he had
migration
100
now,
questions for me. So what's
so
Scott's
this is a
questions?
question Scott can answer. If we don't stop mass migration and multiculturalism now, do you think it will be the Vietnamese who came here in the 80s that eventually will it be their kids who say, we need to fucking stop this? Like, someone's got to step up and say it. Like, is it the Aussies right now while we're experienced the worst of it? We're seeing a young generation getting robbed and shortchanged. Do we speak up, or do we think it's gonna, like, eventually someone speaks up, right? Like, someone's gonna speak up and go, fucking stop, this isn't working, the system's broken. So I think the white Australians now, it's our duty to stand up and say, like,
I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
is it our duty? Obviously, it's your duty.
We turned up on August 31 for that reason. We turned up on October 19th for that reason. We invested time, money, effort, and energy and our reputations into this for a reason, because we believe that we can change it. That's what Australians do.
Yeah, but the problem with the march, though, is that particularly in Queensland, it went from a national march that was completely grassroots to what in Queensland looks like a corporatized, hyper-political mainstream event, which was used to cater to politicians to let them campaign to get elected.
They all we saw this week that the politicians all shafted each other with the by-election and their preferences.
Yeah, that's not the point. I want to go back and forth with Scott a bit.
It is the point. That's why we did it. But that was why we did it, Lawrence, to expose them for what they are.
We yelled out on the stage. We said, "One nation, better preference." The the LNP, and they didn't. Disappointing. They didn't do that. That's just come out this week.
Yeah, well, let me go back and forth with Scott a bit. So, what about Malcolm Roberts' speech where he pandered all the immigrant groups? Did you like that?
I didn't have to like it. I put it there so that you could listen to it.
Well, that's what I didn't answer my question. Did you like it or not? Did you think it was a good speech?
I don't have an opinion on it. I didn't have to.
You don't have an opinion on one of the speeches that was given at your event?
I actually haven't listened to it. I found it really difficult to hear on the day because we had so much going on, and I haven't gone back and rewatched it again.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
Let's talk about March for Australia. Let's talk about March for Australia for a bit.
You said I've got a question for you, Lawrence.
So, guys, I reckon we're going to wrap this up in 15 minutes, just so you know.
Well, so I'm happy to go for as long as you guys want, by the way, but I don't mind.
I'm getting up early, so
me and Scott can go back and forth.
But I think Benny from Australia Talks is doing a live space. So
yeah, well, while we've got time, let's go back and forth, me and Scott, and get some actual points out.
I'll post under my Twitter.
We're just wasting time.
Live space. But yeah, continue. You might as well go back and forth.
Well, Scott said he has a question for me. Let's not waste time.
Why are normies the enemy, Lawrence?
Normies are the enemy because they persuade the public to invest their energy in people and avenues which aren't focusing on the real problems. That's the problem with the normies, and that's the problem with the conservatives, right?
How do you win them over?
Hold on, please don't interrupt. So, okay, they convince people to invest their energy in these people and these people when these people won't even give you honest answers or definitions about what's happening. When you can't actually ask these people questions, so that's the problem. Is that you have normies who have. So it's not so much the normies. Well, the normies are a problem in a sense, but the people who pander upon or prey upon the normies to get their money, to get their energy, who just don't tell them the truth, who just tickle their ears really to get them involved. They're the real enemies because, these people are, everyone's in a state of despair, I'd say, in this country at this point. It's pretty a miserable place to be in. And if you garner an ounce of hope, you want to put that towards somewhere in some place. And if you go towards one of these conservatives who can't answer these questions, who just make you go to an event and yell out and don't actually educate you or inform you or empower you to actually make informed decisions, well, then you're just going to burn up all their hope. You're going to burn up all their energy, and they're going to resort back to despair. So that's what's really concerning to me about those kind of people, is that you need people who can answer the questions so that when people come to them with passion, with interest, you can say, yeah, well, here's a whole rabbit hole you can go down to empower yourself, and here's how we should look at this to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Those normies do the jobs that keep your society functioning, mate. Yeah.
I didn't say the normies were the
those
problems.
Normies empty the bins, mate.
I didn't say normies were the problems. I said the people who pray.
You said normies are the enemy.
I did not say that. You're putting words in
No,
my
hang on a
mouth.
sec. No, on a Twitter post the other day, you wrote that. You said normies are the enemy, bro.
No, I said normies are the problem.
No, you said normies are the enemy.
I didn't. I'll look up my Twitter right now. I never said they're the enemy. And if you want to get a quote from me, that'd be great. But I never said that. They are a problem because
I just want to know why they're the enemy. That was all.
I didn't say that. So unless you can prove I said that verbatim, then I'm going to reject that.
I'll screenshot it and throw it up on X later, mate.
I'll look it up right now. Mate, because I never said that, and you're lying.
Do you find young people, Lawrence? Obviously, there's a generation who are more wealthy. So the more wealthy guys are just insulated, don't care, they're optimistic. So, but then let's say 70 to 80% of young people are they split left and right? Do they go to, is there a proportion going to National Socialism because there's real answers, and then others are going to socialism, like communist?
I think that's exactly what's happening.
And then in the middle, would you classify in the middle somewhere is the normie class that are like blinkers on, they're just drinking beers, and you know what I mean?
Just to clarify, I never said that they're the enemy. Just to clarify, I said that they're the problem. Okay, so just you lied, by the way. Thanks.
Complacency is the problem. Like people are living.
I'll answer. Let me speak. I'll answer. People are going to the extremes because they're disenfranchised, and for the most part, it's being divided by gender. Unfortunately, you got the women going to the extreme left more, and you got the young men going to the extreme right. And then I think the normies are just, by and large, just politically apathetic, and they're just not really interested, and so they just follow the flow, follow their peers, follow the media. But I wouldn't say that they're enemy.
Don't even get involved. They just
no, and that's part of what makes them the problem is the political apathy and the bigotry. Like they're closed-minded. They don't want to listen to things that might be controversial or.
And then with an older generation, so then we've got this younger generation. That's the way it is. And with the older generation, we've got a few guys like ShallowChal, not many, who are maybe in the right direction, but then a lot of them are just blinkers off.
Yeah, I mean the normies
and then
isn't
you've got
lefties
on the older generation.
Yeah, well, the normies isn't generational. The normies, transcends generations. People are just apathetic or not interested in these sorts of things, regardless of age. But I'd say like
here's the third group. Then are the immigrants more active than anyone? So if we think of normies, are we referring to white Australians? That's a good question. And then we have the immigrants who are more culturally connected and probably going to be that in-group preferencing more. So that's a good their own interest.
Yeah, that's a good question. Here's the thing with the immigrant groups, right? Is that there are 1,500 ethnic advocacy groups in Australia. 1,500. Okay, so these immigrant groups. Say again,
for white people?
Too many.
Exactly. Let me answer. Let me finish. Right. So there are 1,500 ethnic advocacy groups, right? Which means there's countless ethnic leaders within Australia, right? So these migrant groups, they can sort of get away with being apathetic to an extent because they have community leaders who lead the charge in these things for their ethnic groups. So the community leaders just send the message and say, hey, look, guys, we're meeting up here for this and that. There's this event happening. And they're the ones that advocate for their needs, and they get funding to do so. All these groups are funded. The first ethnic group, by the way, was advocated by Walter Lippmann, who's Jewish, which is another thing. It's like you guys want to talk about Israel influence, but just basic Jewish influence.
But
these ethnic advocacy groups.
I'll
land my plane. These ethnic advocacy groups allow these migrants to be apathetic, whereas when white people are apathetic, there's no one advocating for us in the quiet time. So that's why we need advocacy groups for us. And here's another thing, actually, while I'm going off. We talk about if I was king for a day, it would be deporting criminals, temps, and students. It would also be to get rid of the racial discrimination acts completely. Get rid of the Human Rights Commission as well, because these are the bodies which are stopping Anglos from working with their own people under the guise of discrimination.
Yeah. So who do you think right now for young Australians is the most positive? I know the British Australian community, and I've said, like, I've known them. If you look at my Twitter, my YouTube, maybe last year in particular, I sort of found myself working with them a lot.
Yeah.
And it helped me, like I said, this new transition away from civic nationalist to nationalism, I guess. So connecting myself to them helped me, because I think they've been able to communicate it well. And they're probably communicating it in a way that is palatable. Do you know what I mean? Because
I think the British Australia community is my favorite organization in Australia, above the NSN, to be honest. Yeah, I wish the BAC would go as hard as the NSN. I wish they had as many face out blokes advocating and protesting as hard. I wish there was some diversity of opinions within the right wing, but there's not. And the fact of the matter is the NSN is making themselves so pronounced because they're actually challenging the system head on, and it's making them notorious. And they're bringing lots of good points to the light, which I wish the BAC or the ANA or some other organization was doing.
Yeah,
which I've tried exploring these groups too, but they just want to seem to stay in the dark
and bang up bloody Aussie flags.
Yeah, well, that's one way. But I do wish the BAC best of luck. I wish they can match the NSN or even challenge them, and then we can do right-wing protests where
the BAC would be, because I've said for what we're doing in Brisbane, would be great if we could work with the BAC.
Yeah,
because
100%.
I feel like they could help communicate it. Like, do we have to admit that it's a tricky? Well, we're all new to communicating what's going on and the solution, and that it seems like they probably have experience to communicate it well.
They're great
in a non-aggressive way, or you want it to be palatable because you actually want to win people over to the
100%. Harry Richardson's
we want to take me 5 years ago and bring me to here. Do you know what I mean?
They're great. I went to the first backpack. It was one very influential. They put up. They're the ones that informed me of how many advocacy groups there were for ethnic people. Okay, so they hitting the nail on the head. I just wish there was more youthful energy there to actually get active on the streets and do something. But no, I upped the BAC. Like I said, Harry Richardson's great. Frank Salter's great. I've talked to them both before. They're doing a great job. Yeah. So yeah, they 100%. I hope they're a great avenue to bring this to light. But the thing is that they run into that problem too of the racial discrimination acts, right? Whereas they can't really go at it properly because they will get hit by the Human Rights Commission, who recently said that you can't be racist towards white people. So that's a pretty alarming point that he made. Same with Maruki, whatever her name is, Faruqi, whatever, the Indian girl. She said you can't be racist towards white people. So there's obviously a strong anti-white sentiment within the mainstream establishment. So abolish those two things, and you could have the BAC
can I just throw in the wall. That you aren't going to win an election, Lawrence, or change the country by advocating to remove the Human Rights Commission. It's not going to happen.
I don't believe in a political solution. I've heard you make posts say that yourself, which I don't understand what that means.
No, what I mean is that the political solution doesn't exist yet, but the only solution that will fix this country is a political solution.
I disagree.
That's why the Australian Party are trying to get registered, mate.
I don't believe in a political solution. First and foremost,
so even if
you don't actually, do you actually believe in a solution? What is the solution?
Yeah, I do believe in a solution.
But if it's not political, what is it?
Well, I mean, it could be political by proxy, but it's not mainstream political. I believe the Anglos need to practice economic ethnocentrism, that we need to try and put our people first.
But you're not going to get the normies to vote that way, mate. It's not going to happen.
It's not about voting. I'm talking about in your private life.
They're not going to do that.
Well, there are a lot of young people who are adopting.
Yeah, there are, but they're not. There's not enough numbers, dude. Not to change that in the next 20 years before you become Bangladesh, mate.
Yeah, sure. Well, if the people who are pursuing the political solutions, I mean, good luck to you. But that's my stance. I believe.
Yeah, but you're pretty determined to destroy anyone that wants to create a political solution.
I'm not. I just advocate for the BAC. I wish them luck. I think the NSN's great. The ANA is great. The problem I have with you and what you're doing, no, here's the thing, Scott.
But even then, you hate what we've done up here in Queensland. You've been very critical. But let's be fair about this. You have, and then once the split happened with MFA, you came down really hard, absolutely, and you pretty much chorused what everyone else was saying, treason, traitors, and all the rest of it, without actually giving us a fair shot at rebuttal then either. But the reality is, if you want to change this country, you have to get the people to vote the right way.
Okay, let me reply to that, yeah? So my problem isn't with you organising an anti-immigration march in Brisbane, which is a bit civic nationalist, right? The problem with March for Australia is that I felt it was a grassroots national movement that was going to hit at the heart of these ethnic questions and leave the mainstream politicians behind. And what I felt like you did with it was basically co-opt it and try and separate it while still taking the branding of March for Australia, by the way, which is still on the website, which I think is pretty gross. I think it's kind of bad character to do that, so these sorts of things. So the problems I have with what you were doing, it was partially how you organized the protest. I thought they were a bit out of tone with what I thought the national tone was. But the second you actually tried to co-opt it, in my opinion, that's when I got really offended and really cut, because you did co-opt it because it's true, because the way you're
Queensland didn't announce that we were leaving, mate, on that Wednesday.
Well, as far as I understand, you guys made the website on the COVID-19.
Because no one else would make a website to capture registrations, mate. No one would do it.
Sure, but you didn't have to break off.
We just stepped in when no one else was actually doing what needed to be done.
Sure, you didn't have to break off from the entire March for Australia thing. Here's the problem I think happened, right? Was
they wanted us gone, you know that.
No. Here's the thing. They wanted you gone, Scott.
They wanted us gone, mate, all of us.
Who's us? Like you and Bender, basically.
The Queensland team, mate. They wanted us
I don't think so. I think it's just you and Bender.
Yeah, they did, dude.
Well, as far as I understand, it's just you and Bender. And even so, I don't think that gives you the right to take the branding of a national movement.
But no one owned the brand, mate. Who owned the brand? No one had even registered the domains or copyrighted the brand or trademark. No one had done anything. And so when we were pushing up the chain, asking for all this stuff to be done, we were just getting silence back, calling us cunts.
Okay, sure. Well, yeah, that's negligence on the actual organisers. But I think, if you want to take that lead,
was it wrong of us to step in and fill the void that wasn't being done?
I think it would have been more moral and more ethical if you just said, "Hey, look, I'm departing from March for Australia. It's not organised properly. I'm doing my own march with the experience I've learnt from all this, called this. Best of luck to them. You didn't use any of the same branding. You made your own thing." If you did that, I would wholeheartedly support you. I'd say, I saw this coming.
Our intention was to support them and to promote their other events in the other cities as well.
Well, then you shouldn't be using the same branding and expecting that to be fine and dandy.
But dude, our intention was never to split away from the national organisation. It was to help it out.
Yeah, but you're not doing that by taking their branding and saying we're separate.
Yeah, but you're not the national organisation either, Lawrence.
I'm not. No. Well, who would you say is head of the national organisation?
The NSN.
No, not at all.
Yeah, they are. Come on, mate. Let's be honest about it.
They're not. The NSN refused to even attend the second march.
Dude, you know as well as I do, mate, as soon as this debate thing happened, who was the first person you messaged?
What, this thing?
Yeah. When we were talking about doing this, who was the first person you messaged about it?
Yeah, I talked to Joel Davis privately.
Yeah, so what? And so then you sent me a screenshot back with Joel Davis like 2 minutes later. So the first thing your first reaction about this debate was to go straight to Joel Davis.
Yeah, I'm in a group chat with him. It was a group chat.
In prison? Didn't he get arrested?
Yeah, he got arrested. So free Joel Davis, by the way. He's a political prisoner too now. Just to state that. Why do you agree with Joel Davis being arrested?
Why did you go straight to Joel Davis?
I'm in a group chat with him. And
how was he relevant about a debate between you and me?
Well, I'd call him a friend. So
you called a friend, Joel Davis, to get some advice about what to do with the debate.
No, I thought he'd find it funny, so I just told him. I was like, "Hey, look, we might be debating. Is that wrong?"
I'm not saying it's wrong. Are you saying it's wrong?
Hold on.
I reckon we're getting.
No, hold on. No, let me reply. I don't think it's wrong. Like if I challenged Scott to a debate and he went to Dusty or Bender and said, "Hey, look at this guy," I wouldn't give a shit. Why would you even care?
Well, but the point is, I mean, Joel Davis is in jail right now for what he's done, and the point I'm trying to make here, like Lawrence, and with all due respect, I don't think you're a bad guy. I think you're a little bit misdirected, as you think I am as well. But the reality is, we want the same thing, but you're prepared to destroy everything that isn't you.
No, I'm not. I don't want to destroy everything that isn't me. I would just want you to abandon the March for Australia branding and do your own thing and just have respect for the. And have
marches, mate.
You've still got March for Australia front and center on your website, which is disrespectful.
Who's disrespectful to who? Nobody owns it.
The national organisers. And here's the thing:
who owns it? Lawrence, who owns it?
Well, no one owns it legally, sure.
So
But
we've got something on there that nobody owns, but you're telling me it's disrespectful to whoever owns it.
well, if you want to take a legalistic approach, then sure, you're right. But I'm not talking about legalistic. I'm talking about ethics and morality and just respect. And I don't see how you can imagine that the
So
national scene. Hold on. Hold on. I don't see how you can imagine that the national scene is going to stay healthy when you do something like that. There's a much healthier way to do that, and that's what pisses me off the most. Is that this has caused such a divide? Because here's the thing, Scott.
You caused the divide.
Scott, please,
when you piled on, mate, you and all your mates decided to pile on. You piled on hard. You know that it's still happening
because
it's
betrayal.
You're so full of hate, mate. You're so full of hate.
I'm not hateful. I don't have any hate towards you, Scott. Okay, I still respect you, but if I have a problem with someone, I call it out to their face.
You didn't call out to my face on October 19th. You came up to my face and you shook my hand and said, "Great event, mate." And then
I didn't have my problems with you don't lie explicitly in the October 19th. It was when you called to the event that I really had a problem with you.
Hang on, whoa. On October 19th, you drew the line in the sand and made it really clear what you thought about our event in Queensland.
Yeah, what did I say?
That to my face. You didn't say that to my face.
Okay, but Scott,
you made content about it and called it a cucked event straight away, and it wasn't good.
But did I say anything about you in particular?
No, but you said our event.
I wasn't talking about you, though. I was talking about the event. Okay? I didn't say anything about you. In fact, I defended you multiple times in group chats because I do like you. And here's another thing. I saw this coming from a mile away. Okay? I knew that you were a bit more leaning towards that. And to be frank, I mean, you're more established.
It's being organised.
Leaning towards civic nationalism. Okay?
Leaning towards being organised.
Sure. Okay. But also civic nationalism. And here's the thing, right? You're a more established man. You've got more experience. You've got more money. Naturally, I could see you wanting to go towards a leadership position in this space. So I saw this coming from a mile away. Let me finish. Let me see. I saw this leadership struggle coming from a mile away. I think it's completely natural. I expected it to happen. And, if it happened in a healthy way, it would have been a good thing to happen because then we could have really divided the tones of March for Australia versus Australia marches. And let the people decide.
Do you think there was any way this could have been done in a healthy tone?
Yes. I think if you saw the writing on the wall and said, okay, these guys are going to kick us out, they don't like us, you'd say, look, I'm going to leave, start my own thing. It's called this.
Why were they going to kick us out, mate?
Personal gripes. They didn't like the chain of command. There was authority issues.
They didn't like us not platforming the NSN.
Well, that too, sure, which is authority issues, right? So
they didn't like us not platforming the NSN.
That's one part of it, yeah.
That was the part of it, mate.
Well, that's an authority issue, though, then, isn't it? Right? Because you have authority.
Do you agree with that decision that was made that they wanted to oust us because we wouldn't platform the NSN?
I don't know. No, if I was going to vote on it, I don't think I would have said kick Scott out. No, I would have said no, keep him in. We can probably just have conversations and debate this more and see if we can try and come to a agreement.
I was on the inside of this. I was in the leadership team, so it's almost unfair for me to interject my opinion. But I feel as though I've been someone who tried my best to keep Brisbane and March for Australia. I feel like really grateful for March for Australia that we had an opportunity, and it was it's been a brilliant opportunity. And I think I get along with everyone in the organisation, and I know the Brisbane team really well. So from the inside, I think the mistakes or the issues that other states found fault with from Brisbane, we probably didn't get as well communicated by the other states. So we probably, if we had better communication, we would have not have had as many problems with the other states.
Yeah, well so I say as well,
these sort of like, maybe we're all new at this, but that may have began a process of that wasn't the best. This could have been done better.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe at that level, it began to unravel.
Yeah, well, of course. And also,
our leadership, as in Bender, I think he was maybe trying to shield us from some of these issues. So we might have been a bit not knowing what was going on.
Well, Bender seems
and then there was a communication breakdown because maybe once I was communicating to Beck a bit better, I was like, man, I totally would have done that. We would have
Sure.
totally done that. And even
Yeah.
communicating inside to Bender and Scotty.
Yeah,
they were
I
like,
get you.
"Damn, we would have done that better." And so there was like these sort of almost we could have done, if we did the communication better, we wouldn't have got ourselves there. But there came a point where the wall went up and communication broke down and it was unmendable.
Yeah.
So let me reply. To me, seems unfortunate. That seems unfortunate when I think that the Brisbane team really, we got invited to be a part of March for Australia. We really enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah.
It's fallen apart and it's unmendable now. But then,
well, I would say, honestly, if Scott and the team simply abandoned the March for Australia branding, that there would be no grief. There'd be no hard feelings going forward, and then March for Australia could probably support Australian marches in a civil, respectful way.
Do that prior, Lawrence. You could have done that.
So
I'm not even the head authority. So there's been Jesse.
You're the PR guy, mate.
Well, I've seen Jesse in the comments saying, you're not March for Australia. Why are you still using the branding?
Yeah, but I haven't seen that. So.
Well, would you be open to that?
I think at the beginning, Lawrence, we didn't realize we were going to get kicked. So there was the website was used for QR codes. It was fit for purpose for that.
Okay, yeah, I'm not talking about that.
Built for that purpose, and it wasn't intended to have a split. So that kind of came as a shock to us.
Okay, Dusty, please, bro, we're wasting time.
And unfortunately, I'm sorry that I'm interfering here.
Yeah, I just want to go back and forth with Scott a bit. This is what we're here for.
Because we're on the verge of wrapping it up.
Yeah, I know, but let's stop wasting time.
The comments are flying past really quick, so
I know. Let me talk to Scott. Scott, if you could see down the line a peaceful resolution being made, if only you would just abandon the March for Australia branding, would you do that?
If it was as simple as that, it'd be easy. But you guys have already unleashed the hounds, mate. So it's going to be a lot harder than that, unfortunately.
Okay, but you'd be open to the idea and just running your own event and just
there's a whole bunch of shit that needs to be retracted as well from the other side, mate. So
like what?
Well, who set the dogs off, mate? Who set the dogs off?
I've told you in private even that you can't control the trolls.
Every time I've had a death threat or a rape threat from my daughters and from some name with 88 and some lightning bolts in there, I ask the question, and I know they're not a member or they're not associated with us, but but you unleashed the dogs on us, mate. So,
I have nothing to do with that. Okay,
you fed the fire, dude.
Oh, I spoke my mind on the internet, Scott.
I thought you were a news person. Now you're an editorial.
I'm a commentator. I'm an entertainer. I'm something. I don't know. But look, Scott. I would like to see resolution happen. I don't want to see like this constantly go on. I'd like to see there to be multiple anti-immigration organizations pop up, which are in good favor with each other, which we could actually solve the issues with. But I think at the moment the main problem is that branding issue, where people, because it deceives the general public.
March for Australia branding.
No,
if you go to the website of Australia Marches, and front and center there's March for Australia, and it's deceptive.
It's been changed a few times.
It's not changed. It's still there. You'd have to abandon all the March for Australia branding.
Not being used. It's just like sitting there as a.
That's beside the point. It's
shelved. It's shelved because it wasn't intended.
You need to understand, mate. It belongs to a bunch of people. It's not just mine. So I guess it's going to be the decision of other people as well.
Sure. Well, that's what I would see. That's what I would say is the healthiest thing you could do going forward to bury the hatchet, which I hope happens because I want to see the hatchet get buried.
Yeah, it should. We're gonna move. There will be a point of moving forward in a positive direction. So maybe we could wrap it up.
Yeah,
and I would say this. I have a great respect for both of you men, and I would say both of you know I call you regularly, speak to you regularly, and ask for advice regularly. And I appreciate both of your perspectives. I think that you guys have a unique perspective. I think younger guys like Lawrence are totally in a different Australia than even different from someone who's almost 40 and then from someone who's, say, in their 50s. There is this big gap, and there is a divide, and there is if we work out what we talked about tonight and learn how to bridge our differences, because this is what Australia is. Australia is European Australians, Anglo Australians, of that multi-generational, and the generational bridge needs to be built on our front. And we're going to make mistakes on the journey. But this is the point I want to make. Even though there's been a whole lot of drama and we've just had a debate, I will encourage everyone. Australia Month is coming up. And I think this will be a great unifier for all of us. And I think that I would ask everyone to promote Australia Month on Federation Day to Australia Day. 1st of January,
can I ask one more question,
Day,
Dusty?
26th of January. Let's celebrate the whole month of January for Australia Month.
Sure.
And let's have a great Australia Day, because, you know, we do have an opportunity here. The opportunity is great, what we have.
Sure. Can I ask one last question, please?
Sure.
Okay, can you just define or explain or show me what that would look like? Can you define what a sexual Tyrannosaurus is?
Oh, sorry. You're asking what a sexual Tyrannosaurus is?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good. I mean, do you want to play those questions, mate? Do we really want to play that? Is that
no,
what
I'm
we're
just joking. I'm just
No,
joking.
I know you were just joking. I know you were. But
have you ever seen the Predator movie, ShallowChal? Predator.
Fuck me. You know what?
Predator, is it Predator 1 with Arnie?
Latched onto some weird ass fucking shit that some lefty conjured up and then decided to try and smear me fucking publicly, man.
Hey, look, hey, Scott, I'll tell you one thing.
You fed that fire, fuckface.
I never once shared that screenshot to anyone or told anyone to promote it. I never once.
When everyone was trying to destroy my reputation.
Well, Scott, I'll tell you one thing. I thought about, I was worried that this was going to happen. I was going to warn you and say, look, dude, they've got these screenshots.
You didn't, mate. I'd had the lefties throwing that around for months.
Okay, well, let's address it then. It's a 7-year-old Reddit post, and then when it came to light, you removed it, and then you posted a thing about you being like a sugar addict and eating ice cream.
Dude, because I was taking the piss out of it.
Yeah, fair enough. But look, I don't even care much.
For the last 12 weeks now. You guys were late to the party.
Look,
and then I thought I'd just troll you by throwing it into my Instagram profile.
I don't care. If you want to do crack once a year, do crack once a year. I don't give a shit. But like,
but this is what you guys look for. You look for anything to try and fuck with someone. Do you know I had someone accuse my granddad's fucking binoculars of being a flashlight, mate? Seriously, this is what you fuckers do, man.
I barely do it, dude. I try and keep it civil,
but you
right?
do it. That's the fucking thing. You're out there trying to wreck people, man.
I'm not trying to wreck you, dude. I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
You wreck people. You know that. You do that deliberately.
Who have I wrecked?
You do that deliberately.
Who have I wrecked?
You've done a pretty damn good job of trying to wreck me, Sunshine.
I'm not trying to wreck you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you. Okay?
Listen, Lawrence, you didn't have to ask that question, but you did because you were trying to trigger an emotional response.
Oh, dude, it's like it's in the back of everyone's head. My DMs are constantly filled with it. It's the last question.
I run 5 fucking businesses and I'm in the gym every day making TikToks. Do I look like I smoke meth, for fuck's sake?
Hey, you pull it off well. I don't know, man.
Pull it off, for fuck's sake, dude.
I'm a concreter, so I'll tell you what, I work with meth addicts all day. And I would say no meth addict could even do a debate.
I don't believe rumors. I don't believe rumors, okay? I'm not gonna convince myself you actually smoke meth. You don't seem like a meth. You don't seem like a meth addict to me. You don't come across as a meth addict at all. No. So I don't believe it. But it is suspicious.
Not only that, throwing that shit around, like, dude, I got a family and people that work for me. You guys thought it was fucking hilarious to try and wreck someone. Okay? What am I gaining by being here, Lawrence? What am I gaining? Do you think I want to be a politician, mate? Do you think I really want to go to fucking Canberra? I've got a really nice life here.
Cool.
I stepped into this to try and help my country. I didn't realize I was going to be battling fuckheads on both sides of the spectrum. Because
I'm just telling you.
The normies in the middle are who I represent, mate. And they don't understand what you fuckers are playing with here.
Okay. Well, look, I'm just telling you, right, that this is what the far right and non-trolls are working with. So you've got to confront the weapons they've got. They're not going to let this shit go. They're going to keep hounding you about it.
Of course they're not. No, that's because they want to destroy anything that could offer. That's because they want to destroy anything that could offer any type of hope, mate.
Just fucking brush it off, brush it off. Like call me. Brush
it off.
You saw the video of the leftists calling me a buddy ped, bro. Like, I mean, what the fuck are you gonna do? The anons, the trolls, they fucking bring up everything. I reached out
to you when that happened and asked if you were all right.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. Are you that cut up about the meth stuff?
No, but what I'm saying is when that dude made that video accusing you of being a fucking pedo, man, I messaged you and asked if you were okay.
Okay, sure. And when I've seen people,
no, because it was bullshit, and you know they crossed the line.
I agree. If I was king of the world before those screenshots came out, I would have pressed the button saying, "Don't put those out into the world." Okay, I don't want those sorts of things happening. But I'm telling you right now, that's what the talk of the town is. So if we're doing,
are you a pedophile, Lawrence?
No, fucking of course not. That's disgusting.
So I'm not a meth addict. So let's
okay. Well, then we've just cleared the air, haven't we? So happy days. Fantastic. And here's another thing, Scott. Yeah, and Scott, another thing with that. When
I reached out to you because I was concerned about your welfare when that
Sure.
happened.
And when I saw Indians impersonating you to try and scam people, I told you. Okay. So
how many ShallowChal accounts are out there, dude?
Well, I'm just telling you. Yeah, I could believe it. I could believe it. 100%.
There's at least fucking 30 on TikTok alone.
Okay, and when I saw a scammer, I came to you and I told you, hey, this guy's trying to be you and impersonate you. And I appreciate you reaching out about the bloody lefty
video. Do you
video,
think,
okay?
I guess, last question then, if we know there's fake accounts and bullshit being put out there against each other, do we then have to recognise that nationalists, March for Australia, all of us, there's a huge vulnerability that maybe a lot of us have been pit against each other? Like I said, there was a beginning point where things begin to break down and then the wall goes up. So like in the future, as we mature and as we continue on the path of nationalism, we have to recognize like someone's going to make some crazy memes, someone's going to talk absolute shit. Now, where's it coming from? It's from people who are probably trying to get things to break apart. You know what I mean? That's why I was trying to keep this March for Australia all together. I really wanted it to stay together. And you're up against forces. Who knows? We know that ASIO talks about these bloody foreign interference, fucking around with your submarines,
right.
astroturfing. If you look at the budgets that they spend with, there's like a flow-on effect of trolls and WhatsApp.
Dude, it's the fucking internet. It's the internet. I grew up on the internet. Okay, the whole thing is just people fucking with each other, calling each other's names, trying to get under each other's skin and bring up every bit of fucking fuel they can. Like, I'm not saying it's good. Like I said, if those
probably
screenshots
was worse. Was there a shit posting error that I feel like 5 years ago shit posting was bigger than it was now?
Well, so it depends who you are. The more you get into the public light, the more people are going to attack you. Okay, and like I said, if those screenshots hadn't come out, I wouldn't have told anyone to leak them.
And what about the post and ghost? I know, like Joe Rogan, I've always listened. Rogan's always said just post and ghost. So I've always posted and ghosted.
Dude, he's got like 2-hour fucking. There are like 2-hour video essays on Joe Rogan, picking about every fucking word he says. Like that's the internet. That's what we sign up for. Okay, it's the fucking arena. Like you're gonna get shot at. Okay, and I'll take any shots that are given to me and fucking just cop it on the chin. Like,
probably is.
I guess as a normie, I just don't understand why we've got to try and destroy anything that's trying to work for the same things you are.
Because it's not. I don't think it's not my preference, but it's the pressure test of the internet. The internet wants to see you crack. And if it's successful, well, then they win. If it's not, well, then they go, okay, well, this guy will stick around and we'll watch him a bit longer.
Heck of a way to potentially ruin good people and destroy any aspiration from actually stepping into the breach to try and solve the problem.
I agree. But that's the arena we're in, and that's the environment we're in, and it's toxic. It is 100% toxic. I don't agree with it. I think you should try and keep some ethics and morality and some compassion. Even
some Australian values there, Lawrence.
Sorry again?
Some Australian values there, mate.
They are, and also, it's another one, banter and fucking and taking a couple of jabs. So
yeah. But it's extraordinary what has been said against you guys. What'd you say, Scott? Like the false accusations against you both is like obviously out of control.
We've been going for nearly 2 hours, lads.
To be expected.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap it up.
It's been good,
and I think first the worst, and maybe we could do more debates down the line, but. The comments section was flying very quickly, so I was trying to look at that and try to pull up a few as we went, and it kind of did get away on me, and I might have not chimed in, but I think I still respect. I believe in.
Wait, what was that again?
Are we still saying rhetorically raped after Joel got arrested today?
Oh, look, I don't like. Oh, that's a bit strong for me. That's a bit edgy, but
well,
a bit of Vaseline will help Scott. It'll be right.
Just rhetorically.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of backfired, that one, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you agree with Joel getting arrested?
No, probably not. But I don't agree with anything that's happening right now. I think that the whole NSN thing is really being blown out of proportion to try and maintain some mentions in the news. So
yeah, good.
Yeah, is the, I think the guys in NSN are probably have genuine concerns, and the current system's so bad that they are looking to that, and other people on the left will look to communism and left-wing socialism.
Yeah.
But what kind of could be the case is that they focus on the NSN to try to discredit anyone to try to reasonably want to talk about ending mass migration and multiculturalism. So it's sort of like this, I don't think to give grief to them young guys who are genuinely concerned and feel as though the system's completely abandoned them. And then what do you do when you look at a Marxist who is in the exact same situation? But we're all in the same situation. My children are in the same situation. And as we go on the journey to try to fix things, communicate it, and how are we going to do that? How are we going to, tomorrow comes out 1,000 lies about the Dusty Bogan and da-da-da-da-da, and then what do? And then half the
people talk shit. Just cop it on the chin. As long if you haven't actually done anything wrong,
you have to cop it on the chin. But we kind of need to understand people who rise to the occasion to try to come up with a solution. That's why I think it's not good to necessarily throw heaps of grief on the NSN or yourself, any of us. We're all trying here to go, holy fuck, the system is broken. What are we supposed to do? We have to do something. So if you're putting your face out in social media, your name in your face, you've already taken a real bold step in the right direction. You may not get it right every time.
Yeah, and I respect everyone, including you guys, who are putting your face out there and actually trying to get in the arena. And that's what I say as well. I respect you, Scott, for coming on and actually talking one-on-one in a live setting. Okay, it's not easy and there's risk involved. So
there's nothing to gain from it, Lawrence. There's nothing to get. There's absolutely nothing. I'm not going to change your mind. No one else's mind is going to be changed. It isn't already made.
It's not for changing each other's mind. It's for the public. It's for the public.
And we got it on the record, which I guess is important. But there's absolutely nothing to gain from this. Nothing.
I think we gained a fair bit. We took it out from the text fucking depths of the internet and brought it face to face. It's good.
Yeah, but that text stuff will still continue anyway. It's not going to change.
Or maybe it won't. Maybe people see, oh, look, you fucking addressed all the bullshit. And I would hope it dies down. Like I said, back to before when I fucking had a little jab. I think, if you just retracted the March for Australia shit, said, look, I'm doing my own thing. Good luck to you guys.
Do you really think that women shouldn't be allowed to vote, Lawrence?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get into that, but yeah.
It's my turn to throw a gotcha at you, mate.
Yeah, most likely, yeah. I think they're more prone to groupthink. They're more prone to the media. I think we should have families that vote for families. We should have family wages. I think we should be promoting the family unit and the individual. And also women just statistically vote for left-wing parties.
Income splitting will incentivize people to get married and have kids.
Women are naturally liberal, so they'll vote for left-wing parties that bring in migrants, and because they want to have all this empathy for the third world, which is what we've got now. It's already happened where the women are voting for the left-wing parties. I think it was the women and the migrants that decided last election. You had 85% of Indians voting for Labor, and then you had all the feminists in university, 100%.
How are you going to get your generation to vote, mate?
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, guys, Australia Talks should be hosting a Twitter space after this. So jump on it. I'll share his space on my Twitter. Thanks for joining in.
It was good.
And we appreciate both of you guys. Will be staying in contact. Hopefully, I think if we can all... The things we agreed on, we all here want to end mass migration. I would say multiculturalism needs to end with that. And a whole lot of people need to leave this country so young Australians can have what I had, which is crazy. I'm 37. So it's like the opportunity I had to buy a home 15 years ago, how rapidly things have changed. It's absolutely disgusting. So Thanks, guys,
Yeah.
for both coming on. Thanks, everyone in the comments section. Sorry we didn't get to pull them all
Let's
up.
get the W's. Let's get the W's. ShallowChal, W's, what's news? Let's see. Spam. W, ShallowChal, W, what's news?
What's that mean? Who won?
Yeah.
Oh,
WL.
yeah. Who won?
Oh,
WL.
dude,
Chuck it in the comments
you
section.
know you got a whole bunch more far right kids following you, mate. Than
Oh,
me.
that's a cope. That's a cope. There's more boomers in this chat than anything. They haven't
I
got
never
me.
even heard of the word cope before I got involved in this thing.
It's good. You're catching up.
You guys
Good on
literally
you,
have a whole
ShallowChal.
language that's literally hashtag, mate.
ShallowChal's
You're catching
one of
up.
the
You're getting hip.
You're one of the only like dudes in the 50s who would come on for a real chat with a younger generation. Like,
That's so true. It is so true.
Would Malcolm
like Gen
Roberts,
Z,
as much as I love the guy, like would any? I don't know who would. Like no one would. So you're like the bridge. You're the bridge trying to communicate that and then trying to say the things that need to be said.
Yeah.
And Gen Z is brutal. Like we're kind of brutal. I'm one of the more chill ones.
You're fucking retarded, mate. Don't take that offensively, but like seriously, you guys are fucking. You need help, man. I'm trying to.
I'm not
fucking give you
retarded.
some hope. Well,
I'm not retarded.
you're very spectrumy, man.
Come
but don't take that
concrete and
personally.
you'll get screamed at all day.
Yeah, look, I'm a bit
retard.
spectrumy.
Everybody's fucking retarded at this point. The thing is, though, right? There's got to be hope. There's got to be a fucking solution that's actually viable here. And if we're not going to talk about a solution and all we're going to talk about is skin color, we're not going to fucking solve this thing. You guys want to make it about
skin color.
I want to make it about solution, mate.
That's so reductive to say.
Anyway, we're done. We ended, right? We finished.
We're done.
Good chat. Thanks for
vote for Lawrence. Vote for Lawrence.
Vote for me.
Catch us later. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. How do I